Get the upper hand on your competition with SCUF controllers. Use code OGXRAYZ to get 5% off your entire order. Yo guys, what's up? It's XRAYZ. Welcome back to another Call of Duty Black Ops 4 video. Now today I actually wanted to talk about Blood of the Dead. Now I've been meaning to make this video a while now and I just have not had time to do it. But today's a good day to do it, so let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to talk about something very interesting about the new trailer that we got for Blood of the Dead, and more importantly, we're going to be talking about some very key inconsistencies that can be seen in the trailer, and then what is seen in the comic books for Call of Duty Zombies. So for you guys that are unaware, there's actually a comic book that spans, I believe, 6 different chapters for Call of Duty Zombies. It tells a very interesting and very intricate story on what happened to Victus. And for you guys that are wondering who Victus is the group that we saw in Buried, the one that we saw all throughout Black Ops 2, you know, Marlton, Misty, Stuhlinger, and then also Russman. So we had all 4 of those guys and they had their own group. After Black Ops 2, we didn't really see what happened, but they had their own storyline, and they're actually the reason that we got the Chronorium in the first place. They actually were told to go to different locations, including the Empty Earth or Empty World, which was a dimension where there was no humans that existed. It was a very interesting storyline, and you guys should definitely go out and read it. But, you know, leading up to that, they got to the point of Chapter 6, or Book 6. I don't even know how to reference them, but I'll just say Chapter 6. And in this one, they actually lead up to the events of Blood of the Dead, or so it would assume or seem to be the events leading up to the Blood of the Dead intro cinematic. So what happens is they go to what is believed to be underneath the basement of the house that we see in Revelations. You know, obviously the house that they went to, where all the kids, their souls get turned into little kids and they're kept in the house and the kids are upstairs. And this is all insinuated when they reach there, and Richtofen tells them to try to keep it down because the kids are sleeping. And so they get there, he tells them they need to decide if they want to stay there, and if they stay there that he's able to protect them and keep them safe. And then he then leaves through a portal, goes to Alcatraz, or Mob of the Dead, goes to Origins, where he basically shows up and gives himself some vials of blood, and then proceeds to go back to what is believed to be Alcatraz again, albeit this one might be a different one. I'm not sure. This is why it starts getting a little convoluted, a little confusing. So he goes Mob of the Dead, goes to Origins, back to Mob of the Dead to grab some more blood vials, and then proceeds to, when he's there, the other crew, the other Primus crew, shows up behind him. And so that's where that comic ends. And that's when we get the intro cutscene, but things are a little bit different. I wanted to talk through some of these notes because it's very, very interesting. I jotted down some notes on the differences from the comic book and from the trailer. And right off the bat, I think that this is going to be something very huge. I think that this storyline that we're going to get in Blood of the Dead is going to be completely different from what we thought it was. I think a lot of us going into this were thinking, oh, this is just where they went to when they went to Blood of the Dead to grab the blood, and then they went over to Gorakrovi after that. And, you know, I think a lot of us were thinking that, but it seems like this is a fracture of that. This is like a different stream that cut off, a new branch that cut off. And I think this might be what leads us to finally escaping that circle of Revelations. Maybe this is what's going to lead to us having a brand new story where, you know, there's no more godly interference. It's literally just the crew. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So the first thing was that in the trailer we saw that Richtofen and the group shows up, Primus shows up, and when they get there, they actually end up making their way down under the bottom of Alcatraz. And when they go down through some steps down, they meet Richtofen, who then tells them that they're late, then starts getting like really confused and saying the same lines that we saw in Origins for Richtofen to say, where he needs a vessel for the brain and he needs to, just a whole bunch, the gateways and all this stuff, at which point Richtofen, who came with the crew Primus, is like, are you feeling alright? Are you confused? So let's talk about that first. They went down onto the bottom of Alcatraz, the basement or lab found underneath Alcatraz. But here's the thing. In the comic book, Victus is actually under the house, which is very interesting because in the comic, Victus shows up, they arrive at the teleporter that is located underneath the house, and then they then proceed to see Richtofen leave through a portal and come back through a separate portal where they then say, yes, we'll stay with you if you protect us. He tells them to get inside of those like little tubes that keeps them cool, and they freeze basically, and that's where they are. They're underneath the house. But it's very interesting that in the intro cinematic, the crew shows up under Alcatraz and Victus is in there. So that's one of the inconsistencies. Are they underneath the house or are they underneath Alcatraz? And so I'm going to be pointing out differences from the comic to the intro cinematic, which leads me, like I was saying, to believe that this is not the same thing that happened in Revelations, where the crew went to Alcatraz and then popped right out and went to Gorakrovi. This is a different fracture. Now, the other thing was that Richtofen mentions that things are different when he enters Mob of the Dead. So in the trailer, you see Richtofen where he like opens up and goes through the little poster type thing, and they're inside of the prison. But he then proceeds to mention that they are nowhere near, or I should say that they should be closer to the lab. And you guys will see that clip playing.
They should be closer to the lab. No matter. This way, if you please.
So right there, it's like a red flag. It's telling us something is different. And I also think maybe this is hinting at maybe Blood of the Dead has just a different layout. You know, maybe it's not the same layout that we expect. Maybe the rooms that we saw in Mob of the Dead are still there but closed off, and maybe we have new routes, new areas within the prison, or at least that's what I feel like this is also hinting at. So there's that. He mentions that they should be closer, which already indicates that this is not the same situation that they were in when they left Zetsubo to Alcatraz. So the next thing is that in the comic, Richtofen says right on time when the crew shows up, and they actually show up through a portal, not just coming down some steps. But in the trailer, you can see that he says that they're late. So again, another inconsistency. In the comic, he's saying you're right on time as they arrive through a portal, but in the trailer, they're late and they're coming down a set of stairs down into the basement of Alcatraz, which is, again, very, very interesting. The other thing was that in the comic, they instantly leave. As soon as they get those blood vials, they teleport away. And this is why it leads me to believe that what we saw in Zetsubo no Shima, where basically, you know, cutscene played, they went to Alcatraz and came back. I think that's what happens within the comic. I think what is happening in this Blood of the Dead, like, actual game, or this actual map, is a separate storyline or a separate branch. So we have one where they show up, they get the blood, they instantly teleport away, and then we have this one where, you know, everything changed, they go upstairs, the portal they were supposed to take gets destroyed by Brutus. So I think that this is kind of signaling that, where the comic book is one story that happens for Zetsubo, and now this new map is a completely new story that's going in a completely different direction. And you can also see that they were in and out of Alcatraz, because there is a quote from Dempsey in Revelations where he mentions that they were there for not too long, only in Alcatraz for however long it took them to get their objective done, and then they left, which is also reminiscent of, this is not that same Alcatraz.
Though we have visited this prison, we did not stay longer than Richtofen required in order to advance his agenda, whatever it may be.
So the other thing I wanted to point out that I already mentioned was that Richtofen, at this point, the one who's opening up the Chronorium and looking at it, and then he tells them that they arrived late, he then proceeds to say a quote about how they need the 2 blood, that you already remember, like he's already been through this already, which I kind of think that maybe this Richtofen has been in a loop already, because he mentions that he already knows he needs that blood and 2 for each one of them, and then kind of tweaks out, starts talking about how he needs to get the vessel for Dr. Max's and all this stuff, which is just like a gibberish version of what is found in Origins. And even Richtofen questions him, and he's like, I think you're confused. And then also, you know, for some of you guys who are wondering, when Brutus actually crushes down that portal and kills himself, essentially, he exploded himself. He says a very same quote that can be found in Mob of the Dead, which is, I will be reborn. Now, in the actual map for Mob of the Dead, he says, I will be reborn again. But in the actual Blood of the Dead trailer, all he says is, I will be reborn. So,
I will be reborn again.
Same trailer, same quote, basically. They just did not have again at the end. And then right at the end, we see obviously that Richtofen questions what's going on, questioning the blood. He says, what have you done to our blood, to my blood? And then right at the end, he says, what did I do? So the point of this whole video, guys, was to talk about these inconsistencies, because at first, when I saw this trailer, I was like, yo, this is a direct continuation of what happened in the comic, but there's a ton of differences here. And also the point that he went to Alcatraz twice. Once to grab the blood from Mob of the Dead's crew, and then to a separate Mob of the Dead, or I should say separate Alcatraz, same situation, same zombies. The Mob of the Dead crew is not there, and this is a separate version of Alcatraz, I would assume, at which Primus shows up to. And again, a lot of inconsistencies. In one, they show up, they grab the blood, they disappear. In the other, they're stuck with this portal that was destroyed by Brutus, and now they're trying to survive who knows what the ending is going to be for that. I'm actually super, super excited for that. So let me know what you guys think about that down in the comment section below, guys. You guys think this is a new storyline that's happening apart from the main storyline for Revelations? I honestly feel like this is going to be how they break that loop, of them, you know, going through all the storyline only to end up back at Revelations, or I should say back at the war that started Origins. So I think that this is going to be their way of breaking that. And, you know, clearly something is up. The Chronorium has completely changed, and apparently this would indicate that the storyline has completely changed. They didn't just show up, grab the blood, and then disappear. They're actually stuck there. So I'm very, very interested. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comment section below. What did you guys make of this new Blood of the Dead trailer? I'm sorry it took so long to make this, guys, but I've been really, really busy, and finally today I was like, I have time. Let's do it. Let's make this video. Let's crank it out. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, drop a like on the video, guys. It's super, super appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, if you enjoy content like this, I'm going to have a ton more Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Zombies news, rumors, leaks, and more coming. So make sure you guys are subbed with notifications on so you don't miss any content from me on that front. And if you guys want to talk about anything, Twitter is the best place to do so. I'm constantly on there at OGXRAYZ. I'll have a link down in the description below if you want to talk about this or anything, or just say, hey, best place to do so. And last but not least, if you guys do want to support the channel directly, you guys can do so by joining my sponsor squad. You get access to early content, exclusive videos, and a special badge that shows up in all my live streams and in the comment sections of all my videos. So check that out only if you're willing and able to. And then finally, if you want to see more content from me, I'll have a link to my gaming and second channel down below. But you guys have an awesome day. Take care, guys. I'm out. Peace.